off with Quilted. Hey, Quilted Sharp. Quentin and Shelby. Okay, of course, in the first movie we saw that they had hooked up. Of course, in the second movie we saw that they had hooked up, but we did not know how deep their relationship was. First thing first, I want to say I love how they morphed Shelby because we didn't know much about Shelby in the first one. She was just the spoiled, aggravating, bratty um, woman from the first one, and the second one she went into the whole uh, reality show Bravo ish like Real Housewives personality. But there was more to Shelby. Shelby, we learned that in the show she was on the debate team. Didn't know that. It wasn't just that she was in a sorority. She wasn't just all about the money. She had substance to her. Same thing with Quentin. We learned that Quentin and his father did not have the best relationship, which we knew that in in the first movie, but it was a thing of how much of a difference it was. His father was old school, built their business from the ground up, especially when it was doing civil rights movement and uh, having issues with black people being able to go into different hotels and things like that. So his father wanted everything to stay the same. He wasn't looking to expand. Quentin, on the other hand, saw things in a different way, in different eyes, because he didn't have to deal with the same trials and tribulations that his father did. So he didn't see the same things as he did. He was like, "Hey, we can plateau this and make more money." But when we first start off, Quentin is getting married to Nicole Erie Parker's character, which I need to find out what the character's name was, because when I tell you, uh, I don't know, I don't remember uh her character's name, so bear with me just one second. I'm just gonna look it up. Da 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 da. Uh, let's see here. Uh, and will it tell me? I don't even think it tells me what. It gives me the different cast, but it don't tell me what her character name was. Like, I mean, Google, I need you to do better. Let me hold tight. Let me try IMDb. Give me a second. All right, finally found it. Azarmia, Amani. Amani is what I'm gonna call her. Anywho, she was the one. Her and Quentin was on one. They was the sage burning. We compass all. Come see hither together. What the universe has empowered us. A couple, which was hilarious. You hear me? Hilarious. When they came there and they were calling themselves um, Quintopia or Quimani or something. Quimani, I think that's what it was. And Candace was like, what in the Quimani? What is this? Like, you know how they used to do Brangelina, Brad Pitt and Jolie, when they would do that Benifer, Ben Affleck and Jennifer, when that, when society does that, it's like, that's corny and strange. Like, I don't want my name mixed with my man's name, and we have one identity. I'm taking his last name, that's it. I don't want that. But, and how his father actually wasn't even looking at the fact that Quentin wasn't in love with her. He was looking at it like, this is a great business move, because she is essentially, I think her character was supposed to be like a morph between Oprah, Beyonce, and Rihanna. Because she was like the she was the super black woman. Like, everybody wanted to be her, every guy wanted to be with her. She had so many brands with so many different things. Like, she was giving a speech and she was like, "Yes, I won the NAACP award and a BET award and a Grammys and a BET Hip Hop and R&B award." I was like, "Child, how many awards you won?" But this is your night before the wedding speech. Like, why are we talking about your accolades like that? And saying, and she still was able to come together and be with Quentin. Um, and of course, Merch wanted to be the best man, and Tay Diggs' character Harper ended up being the best man, because we find out that him and Quentin known each other since grade school, like elementary school. In the first movie, it was essentially as if they just knew each other all from college, but Quentin and Harper knew each other the longest, essentially. So Merch felt some type of way about that, but Harper essentially knowing Quentin was like, this ain't right. Something ain't right with this. He don't love her and all of that. Um, Here and then slide in Shelby. Shelby's not invited to the wedding. Don't nobody want her drama because again, Shelby is the dramatic queen, which is hilarious. When they showed the clip, because she's supposed to be like the Bravo housewife, of her finding out that Quentin was getting married and he was engaged. Child, when I tell you, I hollered. That woman went back crap crazy. She got in the car. She flipping out. She cussing people out. She forgot she got the camera in the car. She got to rip the camera out, throw it outside. She pop up at his job. She beat the living snot out this man in his office. Okay, his office of his company. Beat the living snot out of him in the corner. He was whimpering. Had me rolling. She okay, so of course she's not invited to the wedding. So, but what does Shelby do? Anyone know what Shelby do? Shelby pop up on them. Ah, yes, that's what I needed. I needed that. I felt when Candace said, "Oh, you ain't supposed to be here," and this gonna be dramatic. And she was like, "You just wait and see. Get your cameras ready." I said, "Oh, my camera is ready, boo boo. I'm ready for all of the things. I'm ready for all of the things." And sure enough, in Shelby fashion, she just pop up, boom, like a hemorrhoid, just came out of nowhere, poop poop. And he's like, what is you doing here? And she was like, I'm here to wreck your life. I'm here to show you how you really don't love her. And he doesn't, because he hook up with her the first night. She go to Candace and she was like, because Candace used to be that stripper. She used to be slinging that thing and sliding down the pole and all of that. And she says, hey, help me with a dance routine. And Shelby get out there. Her knees ain't that good no more. Her knees ain't that good. So she walk out there and she try to drop it. And then her knees said, you ain't Megan. You ain't got Megan knees. You got Martha knees. Okay, you got Martha. You got Martha knees. So she starts crawling and all of that. And Merch is actually the one responsible for the bachelor party because Harper's really not into it because Harper doesn't think Quentin should be getting married. So Merch introduced the regular strippers. He slapped the crap out of one of them, almost knocked her unconscious. Then in Jamaica, she like, what the black cloud are you doing? I know that's bad to my Caribbean people, my Jamaican people especially. I apologize for that. But hey, that's how it sounded to me. Okay? Okay, this is just comical commentary. So Candace comes out, introduces Shelby. Shelby's off. Make a long story short, is what Quentin needs because it basically opens up his eyes that he really essentially does have love for Shelby. Although it's sick and twisted and toxic, he does have love for her. Essentially, Armani finds out and she's like, I know you slept with my man. That's nothing. I don't care. I give no craps about that. Because he can sleep with you, but he's marrying me. Which I've never understood that logic. Nor will I ever understand that logic. If my dude could sleep with another woman, period, before marriage, after marriage, during the marriage, precursor to the marriage, sir, we ain't together no more. You have been released like 1,000 doves. Like 1,000 doves. But she gets the wake up call because Harper and Armani basically said nobody wants you here. And she essentially thinks Quentin doesn't want her. And she decides to leave. And Quentin tries to play it off and say he's so happy, he's so wonderful. But Tay Diggs being his essentially best friend, best man, was like, I know you're not. Do you want to go? Let's go to the airport and let's get her. Went and got her. They got together. They ended up getting married. Of course, she told him, hey, your daughter Kennedy, my daughter Kennedy is actually your daughter, which they really didn't talk on that much about the 10 years that he didn't know. Like, I didn't like that they didn't speak about that. But it shows how Quentin is now essentially at that point in his life where he's taking care of his parent, which is a beautiful thing to see, and that aspect of their relationship, the father not being so quick on his toes like he's used to, and having to accept help from his son, and for his son to see that his father is not the man he once knew. He's just a little bit older and a little bit slower. And that Shelby was right by his side. Also, what was great was the aspect of Shelby's relationship with Quentin in regards to him getting sick and everything of that nature. He actually had a minor heart attack, and her trying to be that loving wife, he not willing to accept it, and that different dynamic. So that was great writing there. Of course, it was hilarious. Um, of course, Quentin has the one-liners, uh, the facial expressions, but just showing how their toxic relationship um, actually worked for them, but it wasn't as toxic as them. Like, what's them baby's name? Blueface and that girl. Okay, I forgot. Bless her heart. I'm gonna pray for her. It wasn't toxic like that. It was just they both did not want to let the other one know that, hey, essentially I'm in love with you. Um, and then just showing Shelby going through that change of life where she was premenopausal and not trying to act like it doesn't happen, and her being trying to be younger. I love the fact that Terrence, his character Quentin, said to her, "Just age gracefully," and I like that. Just embrace your age. Stop trying to be something that you're not. Like, stop trying to act like your body won't go through the change and you won't be able to have children anymore. And just because you go through that does not make you less than a woman. So I love that writing. I saved the best for last. The most toxic, one-sided relationship ever, and I was rooting for them.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
Harper and Robin. I saw a TikTok that made my ovaries itch. Okay? Because I saw it said, had a picture of Harper and Robin, aka Tay Diggs, Sanaa Lathan. Said, movie or TV, something like that villain, but had Robin as the real villain. Okay, let me explain something to you. Just my thoughts. Let me fix this microphone a little bit. They both were villains in this situation. Okay, not one worse than the other. Let me tell you, they both irked me. They both got on my nerve. Let me explain something to you. Robin got on my nerve because Robin still, to this day, from the first movie to the last series, okay, until about episode 6 or 7. 6 or 7, I think, because it was 8 episodes. So I say about 6 or 7. Did she not know what she wanted to do? If anybody has followed this series, you know Robin was indecisive. That she was the queen of indecisiveness. Okay, when he first met her and when they were sitting there playing cards, they was like, oh no, she's this. No, 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 that's that. She's a caterer. No, she's that. Child didn't know what she wanted to do. Same thing. In the movie, she ended up Best Man Holiday. She ended up being a caterer or running her own restaurant. I'm not quite sure, but I know cooking. I know she was cooking. I know that much. Okay. Fast forward to the last chapters. Child is wanting to cook in the hut. She found herself. She hearing voices in her head that this is where she needs to be. She wants to move to this part of Jamaica. She want to move here. She want to make salt fish and Ike. Dolphus and Ike, excuse me, in a hut. Okay. Fast forward, they go back to New York. It's around COVID time. I ain't hear her say nothing about going over there and doing nothing. Then she became an activist. Then she's feeding the poor and the homeless and the hungry. And she's running a soup kitchen. And she writing books and catering and cooking and all of this. So I'm like, okay, at least the common ground is community. That's it. Harper's still stuck on the thing of when he had to ask Quentin for money. And he just wants to basically not be poor anymore. However, that means to him that he wants to do any and everything. So he starts writing these, I want to call them urban novels, because by the sounds of it, it sounds like the stuff like Raising a Goon and True to the Game, those type of urban literature. Which nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's an avenue for all of that. The only thing is he doesn't know what he want to be because he's writing that, he's making money off of that, but he wants to be like a James Baldwin, a Gwendolyn Brooks. But you're not writing anything at that time that was on the level of James Baldwin or Gwendolyn Brooks, because you was allowing the money to dictate, because that means you was doing better. That meant you meant something. That meant you had some type of value. He wanted to leave the place that they was at, which was Harlem. Nothing was wrong with it. He wanted to go up to Brooklyn. Um, I don't think it was Bed-Stuy, Do or Die. I don't think of that part of Brooklyn. I don't even think it was Fort Greene part of Brooklyn. I'm not too sure what part of Brooklyn they ended up moving to. But he wanted to move to that side of Brooklyn that maybe Jerry Seinfeld is in. And get this apartment and move there. Or brownstone. I don't know why they said apartment. I think it looked, to me, it puts me in the mind of a brownstone. But he didn't do that for him. I mean, for his family. He did that for himself because that meant something. It was of a status. I didn't realize until the series how those two were not evenly yoked. Those two, essentially, Harper never. I think he had love for Robin, but he was never in love with Robin. He loved Jordan. That's who essentially he wanted to be with. And I essentially think he wanted Robin to be Jordan. Okay? Robin got on my last daggone nerve because she thought everybody's supposed to be your mind reader. Because you want him to do this and do that, and you want him to put you first, but baby, you don't say nothing. Closed mouths don't get fed. I'm sorry. How's he supposed to read your mind? He can't even read his own mind to know what type of person and writer he wants to be. So that irked my nerves. Because I was like, what? But essentially, at the end, Harper ended up irking my nerve. They both villains. Because neither one of them was telling the other of how they really felt in their marriage. They was just living and just going on and being passive. And that's detrimental to a marriage. Neither one of them cheated, essentially. Not really. Robin had thoughts about Ja, the produce man that was having produce out in the park produce man, okay? Which I seen that man. I forgot what show or movie I seen him in, but he's the new go-to black man. But he the new flavor of the week. But yeah, she essentially was falling for him and lusting after him. So essentially, in her mind, she was cheating. Harper ended up kissing Jordan all over again, which I was sick of that. I'm sick of them. I am one of those people who don't want to see them with each other. Why? Because they make no sense. They are two of the same people. That's not going to be a healthy relationship. Get over each other. I agree with Shelby when she said, yo, so-called friend. Okay? Um, but it came to a head where Robin was like, look, she finally figured out what she wanted to do with her life. And this child, she wanted to go cook in Ghana. Why? Because Ja, produce man, said that when he was in Ghana, it enlightened him and made him feel so much better. So basically, she following after Ja and followed his idea and decided she wanted to do that and go And cooking in Ghana, I didn't get that. So essentially, she was just supposed to go over there for the summer. Harper's movie's doing so good that now the plans are changing, and which is a problem because he's essentially never putting her feelings into play, nor is he putting his daughter's feelings into play. It's all about what Harper wants. That's why Harper's a villain. He's so self-centered. He doesn't see how it affects anyone else. He doesn't see that the writing that he did when it came to Merch and how Merch looked like essentially a simp. He didn't care. That just looked good. That was selling. Essentially, when he wrote the book the first time, Unfinished Business, and talks about his past escapade with Mia, he didn't think about how Lance would feel about that. Shoot, he didn't even think how Mia would feel about that. Essentially changing the storyline and making it seem like him and Jordan had been together when they hadn't, because that was his fantasy of being with her. He never thought about her feelings then. When he wrote about Shelby, well, he didn't care about anybody's feelings, but when he wrote about Shelby and showing how she was and how over exaggerated he did with her and her personality, he never asked her how she felt about that because it didn't matter. It's what sold. That's what he wanted. So essentially, he didn't care. He wants everybody to do what Harper wants to do. So, with that being said, Robin's like, hey, this summer I want to go to Ghana, blah, 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 blah. Instead of him pushing stuff around, it had to be, well, no, you need to conform. You need to do what I want to do. So this is what I want to do, like a spoiled brat. So Robin called his bluff and she was like, look, this is it. I'm going to Ghana. And not only am I going to Ghana, I'm moving there. I'm moving there. And Harper, true to the T, he can't do it. He can't leave. He can't go. Mind you, he is a best time seller. Okay? He is selling books left and right. He can go and write anywhere. He can go and write anywhere. It's called take your laptop, a Surface, a iPad, a tablet. He can write anywhere. He don't want to go. So because he don't want to go, why should anybody else want to go? Let me tell you the part that irked me. You can sit there and you can go back and forth with your wife, but when your baby was begging you to move to Ghana and you looked at her and said, we done had this discussion, I can't do it. That spoke volumes to me because even your child's feelings don't even come to play because you care about yourself. He thought everything was going to be cool. He thought he could call her bluff and she just going to conform because that's what Robin did. That's why Robin is a villain, because she got what she got because she always would conform. And this is what happens when you conform and you don't speak up. It starts bubbling over like a pot on the stove and it just spills over. My favorite scene is, of course, when they're going because Lance is being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and it comes to blows that Harper, to try to stop Robin taking their daughter to Ghana, that he filed for full custody. Now you lost your rabbit mind. How you gonna file for full custody and you don't even have time to even show up for your wife? How you gonna show up for your child? You don't even realize that your child essentially gave her food to a homeless man and told you it's because we got plenty of food and I could get something else, that she got that from her mama. You didn't even notice that. You didn't realize that. You didn't know that's the type of child you had. So essentially, you don't even know the type of child that y'all are raising. How you gonna get full custody and you couldn't even be there for 3-4 months when stuff was going down, when Lance was finding out his child was non-binary? You couldn't help out with that. It was New Year's Eve. Couldn't help out with that. It was her needing heat because it was freezing. It was almost a blizzard. Couldn't help out with that. So how you gonna sit here and take care of a child? Burgess told him this not gonna be good, sir. And sure enough, it came to blows. But baby, when I tell you I laughed, I hollered so much, I urinated on myself. Cause I felt Tay and Sanaa later. Cause when Harper called her a fake Kunta Kinte, I said, yes, sir. Fake Kunta Kinte, aka wannabe Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a chef or an activist? What, like, which one? Which one? Okay, okay. I didn't couldn't make up her mind. But when she called him a Clarence Thomas Uncle, I said, yes, sir. Yes, yes. Give it to him, because he was getting on my nerve too. And then when Shelby said the child need to stay with the mother, I believe it or not, I agreed with Harper when he said, oh, you feel that way? Because you didn't tell Quentin that he had a whole baby for 10 years. You think that was the right thing to do? I don't think I'm going to take no advice from you. I'm sorry, Shelby. That was right. I agree with him on that one. That was, should shut your face on that. I love the part where they add in the whole Will Smith and the slap thing when Terrence Howard said, keep my wife's name out your mother freaking mouth. I love that. I hollered. But at the end of the day, Robin did what she essentially had never did before. She chose herself. She chose herself. She chose her happiness, and she essentially moved to Ghana, and they got divorced. Why? Because they should have never been married in the first place. Should have never been married. If you sit there and look at the first movie, essentially when it first came out, I was 19 years old, and in my mind I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. How he proposed to her is so lovely. He loves her. He loves her. With my 42-year-old eyes, no, baby. Cause when y'all was in the bathtub, he was talking about he couldn't figure out how he wanted to be with you, and then all of a sudden he right before you saw him got beat down. He was about to sleep with Robin, so obviously there was no love there. It was no love. Him proposing to you at the end of the movie and Robin shedding that one little tear was out of order. They should have never been married. They should have never been married. So they both was villains because they should have never been married. But then the funny thing is, she was his biggest inspiration because that toxic relationship coming to an end and everything that came with it gave him his Pulitzer Award. Isn't that funny? The woman that gave him, that they gave each other pure D hell, was his best writing. Of course, it closed out with leaving it for us to our own interpretation of if if Jordan and Harper got together. And when I tell you, child, I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. I don't care. I don't want them to be together. And if they are together, they are together. I really don't care. I know so many people like, oh, I want them to be together. Baby, no, I don't have no feelings for it. They both got on my nerves. Because I didn't like the fact that Harper knew good daggone well that he was married and was kissing all up in Robin's throat, all in her esophagus. Robin knew he was good and married and kissing Harper all in the good throat and the esophagus. Like Shelby said, I think Robin would enjoy her marriage. Like, that was trifling to me. They're both trifling. They're both trifling. But that was my thoughts on the Best Man final chapters. I'm going to do some, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to do something then and now, essentially. Some reviews on some things from the past, some classics. And just come back and do my thoughts on that. But it won't be as long-winded as this one. Again, this was just so much to dissect. But again, I love this series. I hate that it's coming to an end, or it has came to an end. As you can tell with black cinema, which I know Nia Long came out and said to say black movies and all of that. But for me, black cinema, I'm going to still say that, resonates to me in a different way than any other type of cinema. And it's because it's for us, by us. And essentially seeing ourselves in a different light. Like seeing all of these positive black people in regards to their career, being authentically themselves. Some of them was natural. Some of them was with the wigs, the makeup, the heels. It's all different aspects of black culture, and I love that. essentially one of my the best man is in my top five. Okay, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, now that I think about it, my top five from when I was younger to now, best man has to be number one. And best man holiday might be number two or three because again that essentially showed us in a different light and just didn't have to be the same storyline. You know, we're not all in the hood slanging dope, slanging butt, cussing people out, shooting people up, shooting at dope. Like that's not the only aspect of our lives. Okay? So why do we always have to glorify that? Like I mean, that's neither here or there. There's always room for a New Jack City or Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society. But that doesn't always have to be our movie. It doesn't always have to be the story. So that's essentially why I love Best Man, the franchise, the final chapters. It gave us everything. It made me cry. It made me laugh. It made me put things in perspective. It opened up my eyes to self care, what my true purpose is. Um, Also, making sure I'm not selfish. But one thing it did not do, it did not make me want Jordan and Harper to be together. Nor did it make me want Harper to be with Demetrius, aka Silver. I didn't want him either. I didn't want him with her. I don't even like Silver. See, the bad thing is once you play a role too good, I see you as that role. I don't ever want to see him. I want to see him do more things. I do want to see him do more things, but he's always gonna be Silver to me. Always gonna be Silver to me. But leave your comments, your thoughts. Also share, subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.